Hello, hello. It's filmmaker Mike, and I'm here with my initial reaction to Dune Part 2. Got to see it last night, February 25th. They had a fan screening at Galaxy Theaters here in Sparks, Nevada. We watched it in IMAX. There was only one show, 7 p.m. And I got to say, I got to give a special shout out to Dan, one of the listeners of the show. I really appreciate it because he did give me the heads up about this fan screening. I want to say earlier this month. It may have been late last month when they announced it. And as soon as they announced it, I just knew I had to get my tickets right away. So I got two tickets for me and my wife. It worked out perfectly because we found out not beginning of this month that today, Monday, there would be no classes for the kids because they have a professional development day for the teachers. So it worked out because I know the movie has a pretty long runtime, 2 hours and 46 minutes. And so at 7 p.m., if it was a school night, it'd be tough for us a little bit. But fortunately, it worked out. It was in its favor, I guess I should say. Wow. So first off, I'm going to give my spoiler-free thoughts. Then I'll go into the spoilers. So at any point, I'll give you the warning. When I'm done with the spoiler-free thoughts, then you can at least pause it if you don't want any spoilers, and then go back to this after you've seen the movie for yourself, or you could just listen to it. It's up to you if you've already read the book. And just for clarification, I have not read any of the books. I did know some stuff. I've seen some stuff going into it, not from necessarily from the movie, but from other, looking at Dune Part 1 from a few years ago, which blew me away. So fortunately as well, my wife got to rewatch Dune Part 1 just last week. So it gave her a refresher because she hasn't seen it since we saw it in the movie theater. And I think she just saw bits, glimpses here and there when I've been rewatching it at home. Anyway, we got there. The theater was buzzing. You could just feel the energy. There was a lot of people. The theater was packed. The IMAX screen was packed. Everyone showed up for Dune, and it felt like opening night for the biggest Marvel movie, for Avengers Endgame. Not the recent Marvel movies, because of course we all know how those are not faring as well with the reception and fan reaction, all that stuff. But it felt like an MCU movie premiere, but on another level. They showed trailers, a lot of the upcoming IMAX movie trailers. You got Kong versus Kong and Godzilla, the new Empire, Ghostbusters, Planet of the Apes, the new Quiet Place prequel. I was hoping we would get a Deadpool 3 trailer, but they didn't have that. And then, of course, the movie starts. And not once did I look at my watch. Not once did I felt like this is taking too long. It's dragging on. The movie, for a lack of a better term, is an absolute masterpiece. And it's worth seeing in an IMAX screen if you're able to. If not, the next best thing, the largest screen possible in a movie theater. Watch it. Enjoy it. My goodness. Holy shit. Holy shit. What a fucking fantastic film. And it's a perfect marriage of art and cinema and blockbuster. It is absolutely fantastic storytelling. The cast is phenomenal. Of course, a lot of the cast we met from Part 1, but we're introduced to new characters. As far as Part 2, we got Austin Butler as Fade Routha, Florence Pugh as Princess Irulan, Christopher Walken as the Emperor, and we also got Leia Seydoux. And what else did we get as far as new? Sushila Yakub. I'm trying to see if anyone else that stands out. Rand Ferris. But those are the new ones. And of course, everyone returning. Holy shit. Part 1, and again, I've never read the books or didn't even try to find out what's going to happen in Part 2. I just wanted to see the movie, and that's why I was so excited to get my tickets to get to see it last night, because I've been waiting to see the continuation of the story. Um, Part one, merely an appetizer. Part two is an absolute feast. The movie just kept on going and going and going and going. And I was like, holy shit, what else is going to happen? And everything else that you thought was going to did happen, and everything else that I didn't think would happened. I was like, holy shit, wow. Wow. Cinematography, chef's kiss. Hans Zimmer soundtrack score, of course, beautiful. There is a track in one of the battle scenes, the big battle scenes towards the end of the film, where it sounded like one of his tracks from The Dark Knight Rises, but amped up even further to like times 100. So that was that. It reminded me of The Dark Knight Rises, but at the same time, it was like amped up, and then it just went on its own. So that was fantastic. I'd love to rewatch this movie again. But definitely IMAX is the way to go. I'd love to also watch it in Dolby Atmos, because I know that also sounds fantastic. It was, man, and it's really interesting because everyone who was there was just serious. I mean, people were laughing at some of the humor, and people were reacting. There was an audible gasp, which I will not say in what part yet, because that is a spoiler. But it is fantastic. It is pure cinema, and I'm just really happy that I got to witness it in IMAX, because it is the perfect format to see it in. Denis Villeneuve, fantastic. I cannot wait to see what he does next. I hope it's part 3 or Dune Messiah. If that's what it's going to be called, or part 3, whichever. I'm hoping that we do see the continuation of it. I do remember he mentioned that he'll do part 3, and that's it for him. He may not do the other, he may not want to do the other books, or and adapt it into films on the big screen. Who knows? But I'd love to at least see a third one. But definitely focus on this one first. See it, enjoy it. My highest recommendation. I'm pretty much done. It feels like I'm done. Deadpool and Wolverine will be fun to watch, but as far as witnessing and really experiencing something purely cinematic and just top-notch art, I think that's it. I mean, I can't tell the future for the rest of the year yet, but my goodness, I don't think anything can top this cinematic experience for this year or for a while. And don't just take my word from it. If you look at Twitter, everyone has been praising it, and just the overall experience and seeing it in IMAX, fantastic, really fantastic. And I'm so happy with just how it turned out. It's just fan-fucking-tastic. It is amazing. And my wife and I could not stop talking about it. I still can't stop thinking about it. I'm now I'd like to ask you guys, feel free to chime in, send me a DM, or let me know. Should I feel like I want to read part 1 and part 2 and then go into part 3 before the movie comes out, or should I just read part 1 and part 2, revisit part 1 and actually read it? Or I'm thinking of either, I don't know if I may have the time to just read the physical book, or I just do the audiobook. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. Because I feel like at least with the audiobook, I can listen to it while I'm driving, when I'm running errands and doing stuff. Because I don't necessarily have all the time to just sit, and read a book. But I mean, I could schedule. It's just, who knows? But I am curious. I'm really curious to find out what happens in Dune Messiah. But I feel like I don't want to just jump into reading that book. I'd like to read part 1 and part 2. I was listening to an ASMR video of part 1 earlier, as I was like dozing off, because I was tired. But I thought that was cool. But I really want to pay attention, of course. But yeah, Dune Part 2, solid 10 out of 10. 5 out of 5 were Mussy buckets. They didn't have it at the Galaxy Theater. I think that's only an AMC exclusive. But I'd like to get that Lego set with Ornithopter. I'd like to collect the other Funko Pops. I need a Princess Irulan, and I need the new Paul Atreides. So yeah, but now, okay, spoiler-free reactions done. Here we go with the spoilers. Spoilers in 3, 2, 1, ba-boom. Here we go. Spoilers. Holy shit. The whole prophecy, Lisan al-Gaib and Muhadin. Oh my god. Wow. They really amped it up. I just never thought, like, not that I didn't think, but I was like, holy shit, when it actually happened, like, holy shit, this thing is happening. Um, and when the grandmother, Bene Gesserit, the head of the Bene Gesserit, said in part one, we have many prospects, I was just thinking, like, I think I already had a feeling, I already knew about um, Paul Atreides' sister coming in. So I was thinking, like, oh, it's not just your son, but it's going to be his. No, it's not that. The Bene Gesserit have fucking secured the bloodlines in all the different houses all over the galaxy. And it's a perfect example of what Leia Sedu's character does to Fade Routha when she seduces him into her quarters and pretty much, uses the voice on him and lures him and tempts him and basically fucks him. And she gets pregnant, and she even says it's a girl. The bloodline is secured. They're like, holy shit, the Bene Gesserit are fucking everywhere and have control of literally and have their finger. They pretty much have their finger on everyone's pies. And I was like, holy shit. And then Rebecca Ferguson as Lady Jessica, what she does with it, I'm like, damn. And it's really interesting because from part one at the end, of course, they Paul Atreides and Lady Jessica are reduced to pretty much nothing when they have to survive and fend off for themselves in the desert, and they're found by the Fremen and what's his name, and Stilgar and his crew, and then of course Lady Jessica uses it and builds Paul Atreides and Lisan al-Gaib and all that thing and all of that stuff that the Bene Gesserit has been planting seeds for the longest time on Arrakis. So I was like, holy shit, damn. Fade Routha's introduction was fucking fantastic. The planet of the Harkonnen. There's color at the beginning, but when they're out in the atmosphere or against under the sun or whatever, it's completely black and white. And I was like, wow. And I know one of the critics said it felt like a Zack Snyder film, and he was like getting pissed off about, like, Zack Snyder living rent free in some of these, thanks to Pinhead to letting me know about that. But like, seriously, Zack Snyder is living rent free in some of these critics' heads when he has nothing to do with Dune Part 2. And yet, someone even said, a Snyder fan said, hey, that's like a fantastic compliment because, why not? Anyway, another part, the part that made my wife gasp was when it was revealed that Lady Jessica is the daughter of the Baron Harkonnen. I was like, holy shit. Well, I didn't say that, of course, but I was like, what the fuck? And my wife gasped. And then, of course, Paul Atreides is now the grandson of the Baron. So he's a Bene Gesserit. He's Atreides because he is the son of what's his name, of Duke Leto, and he is a Harkonnen, or however you pronounce it. So he's not just two; he's fucking three, all in one, descendant of Harkonnen. It was like, holy shit, what the fuck? Another thing that made me go, what the fuck, is, of course, they've been setting it up. Oh, I love you, Chani, for as long as I live. He literally just told her, after they took over and they pretty much seized the Emperor, and holy shit, the Sardaukar. I was like, what the fuck? These guys were the fucking badass in part one, and now they're fucking prisoner. Like, come on. Oh, and yeah, what's his name? Fucking, what's his name? Holy shit, hold on. Beast Raban, Dave Bautista, what a fucking pussy. He just fucking ran at the like when he was like they were surrounded. It was like, what the hell? You've been this badass pissed off Harkonnen this whole time and you can't fight? Like, but of course he fights Stilgar later on, and he, rightfully meets his end. But yeah, back to Paul Atreides just telling Chani after he defeats Feyd-Rautha, or even before, I think when he before he defeats Feyd-Rautha, he loves her with every breath of it, as long as he breathes, and then literally defeating Feyd-Rautha, and then he tells Princess Irulan, when he's pretty much going to kill the Emperor, surrender, and I let me take your daughter's hand. I was like, what the fuck? You just literally told Chani that you fucking love her till you, as long as you breathe, and now you're taking the hand of the princess. Like, wow, the switch. Though it's not that fast. I mean, they've been setting it up already, so I got it. It made sense. And yes, I know he goes on an arc. He's not the hero that you think he is, and that's literally what happens. Like, holy shit. So from start to finish, from the opening of the film to the end, it's just wow, fantastic. And then of course seeing Paul Atreides' sister, I'm trying to think what's her name, Anya Taylor-Joy, who was revealed a few weeks ago that she is a surprise cast member of Dune Part 2. And seeing her in the scene, I was like, wow. So yeah, that was cool as well. I'm trying to remember her name. Let me see. Aaliyah, or is it Aaliyah? Alia Atreides, Paul's sister and Jessica's daughter. Wow, fantastic. Just great. The movie's fantastic. I'm trying to think of any big spoilers. The battle scenes, the action scenes were fantastic. And it's just, there's enough time for you to breathe and relax for a bit, and then the action. And then, the fucking sandworms. Everything was just fantastic. Start to finish. It is worth the money that you put down for. It's worth the IMAX ticket. It's worth the movie ticket. It is fantastic. And I can't recommend it enough. So I sure hope this will be #1 at the box office on opening weekend. And hopefully by the end of that opening weekend, Warner Brothers, lets everyone know, like, hey, we're working on, the next one. And yeah, it may not happen right away, but it'll happen. So that's good. That'll be cool and exciting to at least look forward to. But yeah, my highest recommendation. That's all I can think of for now. But I can't wait to talk about this with all the boys until, this weekend. Hopefully they all get to see it and we can all, talk about it and discuss it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you all enjoyed this spoiler-free and now, of course, spoiler-filled reaction to Dune Part 2. Thank you all for watching or listening, if you're listening to this. Till next time, stay safe out there, and long live the fighters.